are in the kitchen and we are going to cook dinner. So my grandson is spending a few days with me because I've been off from work for a few days. So he's here spending some time with me, and I gave him the option of chicken or pork loin. So he picked pork loin. So we are gonna do pork loin today in the Ninja Foodie because it cooks it really quick, and and it's always juicy and it's really good. So if you don't have a Ninja Foodie, you're not familiar with it, you'll see how it will work. We'll be actually cooking it on the grill. It's a 5-in-1, so it does like 5 different things. But today we're going to use the grill, and we are going to grill whole pork loin on there for about 22 minutes. Takes about 22 minutes to grill, flipping it halfway through. And we also are going to do a light gravy with it. We'll serve it over some basmati rice, and we are going to put some golden kernel corn on the side because that's what he wanted. So that's what we're having. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut our seasoning up. So last time I was cutting up seasoning, my knife was acting crazy. So I have my handy dandy sharpener, and I already ran it through a few times, so you just kind of run it through here. I love this sharpener because it works so good, and it really gets the knife sharp. So this part here is a coarser stone, so you have a coarse, a medium, and a fine. So of course that's your coarse. This is your medium, and this is your fine. So I actually ran it through the coarse, so I can actually feel when it's going through. So I'm gonna rinse this off. Going to cut our onion up. All my veggies have already been rinsed off, so they are good to go. So as I was saying, my grandson is here visiting. I love when my grandbabies come over because they just think I'm like the best Gigi in the entire world. They have their little special things that they expect from me. So first thing coming through the door, he wanted chocolate milk. So I had to make him chocolate milk, but I can't just give him any old chocolate milk. He wants it warm. He wants whipped cream on the top with a little caramel, and a little fudge, and a little bit of cinnamon. He's a little extra when it comes to that. But his Gigi do not mind, so of course I went on ahead and made him a cup of his favorite, and that was his introduction to my house last night. So today we just been kind of hanging out here because I had a few things to do. I had a couple of meetings, Zoom meetings that I had to take care of. So we just kind of hung here, and then I took him over to the pool and I let him swim for about an hour just to kill off some of his energy. So he is now in the room that he's always in when he's here, and he is playing his video game. So I am in the kitchen spending time with you guys. So the way we're going to do this pork loin, even though I'm going to put it in the Ninja Foodie, I am still going to saute it. I'm going to braise it on, or sear it I should say. I'm going to sear it on all 4 sides just because it's going to give it that nice crispy coating that I want it to have. And then I'm going to put it in a Ninja Foodie. That is optional. It's not something you have to do with the Ninja Foodie, but it's just something that I like to do when I'm doing a gravy separate and apart, because I like the gravy to have all the flavor from the meat. So that's the only way I could get that in there. And we do have like a beef broth today, which we didn't have, we didn't have that last time, but we do have it this time. So I'm gonna get my bowl to put these onions in, then we're gonna cut these bell peppers up, and then we're gonna get started on this. Again, y'all know how I do. I'm gonna cut the seasoning up. I like my onions a nice size. I don't like them really minced. Again, I like to be able to taste them. So I am gonna do a little bit of a roux with this to make my gravy. So I want all the flavors of these onions to be in there. Again, I love onions. So, for me, it's, hey, where the onions at? Let's get them on in there. There's always something, because this time I'm out of garlic, so we won't be using fresh garlic, but I do have some granulated garlic, so we will still have a little garlic taste in it. It's not like we won't have any garlic at all. This knife is cutting so much better since I sharpened it. I tell you, that made a world of a difference for me. sharpening this knife. It really did. It really needed it. So I'm glad that I had that sharpener to do it. I bought this this sharpener from like I want to say I got it from Martians, and it works really good. I really like it. It's easy to store. It's easy to store. It just sits right in the drawer, and it's always there, handy when I need it. We're gonna use the whole bell pepper this time because I like bell pepper in my gravy. So yeah, we're gonna use this whole one last time. This time we didn't use the whole one last time. We used most of it, but this time we're going to put the entire thing. So that is that. Put that in our bowl there. Alrighty. We're going to use this pot today. I like this pot. It works really good as kind of like a wok, even though it's not officially a wok. It works really good when I'm doing like shrimp fried rice in it. It makes for a good shrimp fried rice. It really does. It cooks everything so nicely in this one pot. So I always, when I cook rice, I usually always cook more rice because I tend to, after I do a meal with rice, I tend to like to use the extra rice to do like a stir fry or a Chinese fried rice, because it's better to do those type of meals with rice that you've cooked already and it's set in the refrigerator overnight for like 24 hours. I just find that it makes the rice really nice, and the rice grains are nice and separate and not all mushy and stuck together. So we are going to start this off by turning on the fire. And I'm going to put some oil in here to saute our vegetables. And then I'll do the roux after that. But I want to get these vegetables going first, and then I'll add the flour and we'll get the roux going. So we're going to let this get nice and hot. I should have had this going already. Then we got our Ninja Foodie right here. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry, my bad. The first thing we need to do is sear. First thing we need to do is sear off this pork loin. That's the first thing we need to do, because we need to render all of this goodness from this pork loin. So that's what we're going to work on first. Sorry. Yeah, almost forgot that. Let that get nice and hot. Let those oils get nice and hot. Because when we put this in here, we want it to be good and hot. Sometimes this front burner on here gives me issues, so I have to feel it to make sure it's working. We'll start it off high, and then we'll drop it down low. So our pork loin is already seasoned. So I just pulled it out the refrigerator. So it is good and seasoned. And I had already put the rice on. So the rice has already been in my rice cooker, and it actually just clicked off like maybe 2 minutes ago. So our rice is already done. This meal won't take long at all. Another good quick meal that's good for the soul, tastes good, and it's so much better than going out and spending money to buy food at a restaurant, because when you cook it at home, it just tastes so much better than when you get it from a restaurant. And it's actually cheaper. Here we go. This is our pork loin. And we're also going to turn the Ninja Foodie on because it has to warm up. So I'm going to turn this camera around just so you guys can see what it looks like. Pull it back. There we go. So this is my Ninja Foodie right here. And we are going to grill this. So the grill is already on. So we are going to set our timer. We're going to set our timer. It's set at 500 degrees. Start. I always do that. Grill. Start. There we go. We're going to let that go. And that's going to get warm so it could be nice and ready when we are ready to actually drop the pork loin in it. So we're going to turn this back this way and get back to doing what we were doing right here. So I think our fire is nice and hot. So I am now going to take this pork loin and gently drop it down in. Get that nice sizzle going. And when this is done, I'm just going to put it right back on this paper. I know it came off the end, so it's got some rawness to it. But remember, we are not cooking this in this pan and putting this cooked meat on here. It still has to go in the Ninja Foodi, so it's perfectly okay. We just want to get this nice and golden, and we want to get a nice crust on it. And the reason I put this amount of oil in it, because remember I'm making a roux, so I need the oil to help with the production of the roux. Let it go on this side, and then we'll flip it over. We just want it to caramelize, really nice for us. Again, we want all those sugars to come to the top of this, so that we can render all of this goodness out of this, so we can use it for our roux, the flavoring of our roux. Oh, that's beautiful. See what I mean? That's what we're looking at, that nice crust there. That's what we want. So now we're going to go ahead on and do this side. We're going to let it get nice and golden. That color is absolutely gorgeous on here. I really love it when you get those nice, pretty golden colors on there. Just do like everything to me. Again, we're only just using this to caramelize this meat and to just render some flavor into what will be our gravy. When this is all done, we're going to let this pork loin rest, and then I am going to cut it up into like slices, and we'll have it with this gravy. Once this pork loin is done in the Ninja Foodi, it's going to be returned right back to this pot. I think this is good enough for us, so we're just going to take it out of here. And we see tongue to get it out, and we sit it right here and wait for this to be all done. Now, again, we're going to just fry these vegetables down until they get translucent. And then we'll add our flour, and we'll add a little bit more oil to this too. And we do want these veggies to get nice and soft for us. We're going to add our flour so that we can get our flour to caramelize to the color that we want. Pretty much when you're doing a roux, you're pretty much just frying the flour until it gets to a color that you're satisfied with. But one thing about a roux, you have to pay attention to it. You have to have your liquid and all ready for it, because once it gets going, if you're not careful, it'll burn. Y'all know how much I love my handy dandy spatula, so that's what we're using to get all of this nice and sauteed. These onions are looking good, and these bell peppers are looking good. Smelling real good up in here. Up in here, up in here. Smells good. So now our Ninja Foodi is ready, and it is telling us to add the food. So we're gonna add this now. We're gonna add the pork loin. And again, this is gonna go for about 22 minutes. And we are gonna turn it halfway through. Halfway through, we'll turn that. So now that we did that, we can move these because we don't need them. So now it's actually cooking. Get this out the way. And we're gonna set this up here. We don't need this knife anymore, so we'll set this over here to be washed. Oh yeah, look at that, look at that, look at that. That looks good. All right, so at this point, I think these are cooked enough. I'm gonna add a little bit more oil and let it heat up because now I'm gonna go in with that flour. And I'm gonna need more oil in here in order to fry out the flour. Because you want enough oil to kind of suck up the flour. Because again, that's what makes your gravy. And now, we're just gonna let this brown in. We're gonna fry out this. And this flour will brown. Make no mistake about it. It will brown, and you're gonna see that transformation. Right now, you see how it's looking white. Yeah, we're gonna cook this until it gets a nice color for us. This is one of those things, like I said, you have to watch it at this point because the flour is going to start to brown really quick in a minute. And if you're not careful and you don't watch it, you'll overcook it, you'll burn it. And that won't be good. So a rule of thumb to making a roux is whatever color your flour is, that's pretty much what color your roux is going, your gravy is going to be from your roux. So you want to stir this to have evenness in it, but you also just want to keep stirring it and turning it because what's happening with the flour is as it is cooking, it is toasting the flour. And it's the toast that makes the gravy. It is the toasting that makes the gravy. And I don't know if you can see this, but the flour has started to turn darker. It's a little brown now. If I was doing like a blonde sauce, then I would probably stop it here because you can go to a bechamel, which is kind of like a blonde sauce that they usually add milk to the gravy. But if you're doing like a white gravy, like white gravy over biscuits, yeah, you don't want this to turn brown. You want it to stay a blondish color. But you want the flour taste not to be in it, so you want to fry it out some just to remove that. I am constantly stirring this because, again, I don't want it to burn. As you can see, it is changing in color, which is the whole goal of this. The whole point is so that it can change in color and start getting nice and toasty. I kind of like my gravies at almost like a chocolate color. So once my flour turns to like a chocolate color, I am good with adding my liquid to it. That's when I'm also going to add my dry ingredients to it. Because at that point, I'm just pretty much letting it cook down. See that color change? That's what you want. It's not as dark as I want it to be, so we just going to keep letting it go until we get there. It takes a little time to get there, but it's going to get there. Never done a roux before. They're very easy to do. I never use a box gravy or a canned gravy. It's just not something I do. I always make a roux when I'm doing a gravy. No matter what kind of gravy it is, I make a roux all the time. It's not big on canned gravy, or the kind out the little pouches. I mean, I'm not knocking, it's just not my thing. Again, when I cook, I like to cook with a lot of love and a lot of soul, and you know, I like to put a lot into it. So for me, this is a part of putting it into it. But by all means, if your lifestyle don't dictate you taking the time to make a roux, or you don't feel comfortable making a roux, by all means, use the can or the pouch, because you know, it's not like I haven't had it. They turn out a good gravy. It's just that for me, I like to just do it the way I was taught to do it, which is this. Now, if you can see, it's getting darker. Whole different color than what it was when we first added the flour. And this is bread flour that I'm using. I mean, you pretty much can use all-purpose bread flour, self-rising flour. Just that I had bread flour because I made some beignets one day. So I had bought some bread flour to make beignets, and also I had made, I was doing a pizza, and I was going to make my own pizza crust, which I ended up not doing. But I had the bread flour, it's already open. So that's why I just use bread flour. And in all honesty, I do like the way bread flour turns out for a roux. I just think it does a great job for a roux. I don't know if it's because it has a little bit more gluten, but of course if you're allergic to gluten, you know, flour might not be good for one. This color is nice. It's getting there. Remember how I told you whatever color your flour turns out to be, that's the color your roux is going to be? There you have it. Look at that. I actually turn this down somehow. This is when it starts to get real ticklish. I think I'm good with this color. I think this is the color I'm looking for. So at this point, like I said, I have my liquid on standby. So we're going to raise this up because we need to take this out. But we don't want this to burn. Yeah, this is turning out. So we're going to add this liquid. And what that liquid is going to do, it is going to stop the cooking process of this gravy. And we're just going to move the flour around, because right now what's going to happen with the flour is it's going to break apart and create our gravy. And so that's what we want to do. It's going to thicken up, as you can see. It's thickening up. While that's doing that, let's turn that over. Perfect. And we're going to put this back down and let that finish. There we go. There we go. And I'm probably going to need to add more liquids because this is going to thicken up some. And I don't want this to be like a super thick gravy. To this, I'm going to add my dry ingredients, which is thyme. I'm using a little bit of Italian seasoning and some cilantro in there. I'm just going to let this go. Stir it up and let it go. All this goodness can just kind of cook in there. I do have some more beef stock. I'll be adding some more of that. And this here, we got a little bit of sazon, some paprika, onion powder, garlic powder that I told you we was going to use, seasoning oil, of course black pepper, which is my favorite, and sea salt. So we're going to add all of that to this pot. little bit of paprika. I don't know if I mentioned that. See how thick the gravy is now? Because the flour has expanded. So I don't want it this thick. So I am going to add more liquid to it because I don't want it that thick. Add a little more. And what we're going to do now is just let this cook down. Still a little too thick to my taste. There we go. That's a pretty roux. Pretty gravy. I always add a little bit of Worcestershire sauce to my gravy because I just like it. Plus it helps with the coloring. And I also like to add a little bit of Louisiana hot sauce to it. Again, that's for flavoring and a little bit of kick because that's what I like again. And now we're just going to let this gravy do what it's going to do. And we're going to let that pork loin do what it's going to do. And again, at this point, I'm going to put the top on this and I'm going to let this cook down. Once the pork loin is done, I'm going to let it rest for about 5 minutes, cut it up, and then it's going to get laid inside of this. So, pork loin is done. I've already checked my temperature to make sure that the internal temperature of this pork loin was 145, which it is completely done. As you can see on the board, this is all the juices that was in it. So it always turns out a nice juicy piece of meat out of that Ninja Foodie. So I absolutely love that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to now add this to this pot. We've already cooked the corn, so that's already done, and it's just kind of in the back, just keeping itself nice and warm. Raise this camera up just a little bit so I'm not fighting to get in it. There we go. That's better. So now what we're going to do is we're going to, because our gravy has been going that whole time, so now what we're going to do is add this to it and let it just marinate all together. I already cooked these cut these up on like a little bias. Like I told you, I like to have them cut at an angle because I just think it looks better that way. We're just gonna let them float on in this gravy. If I can, I'm gonna get this gravy off of this cutting board and just pour it right on in here. There we go. We're gonna let this, once all this is in here, I'm just gonna let this cook for another maybe 10 minutes just to get all that flavor inside each piece. All that goodness. This is all the goodness that you just don't want to lose. You just don't want to lose this goodness. There we go. It's all in there. Move this out of the way. See if we cannot make a mess with this and get all of this in the pot. There we go. All that flavor in there, because that's exactly what all of that is on my cutting board. It's nothing but flavor. It's nothing but flavor in there. Alright, so now that that's all in there like that, we're going to move this on over to our water that's sitting there waiting. And wipe all this up with our towel. I always put a towel underneath my cutting board. If you don't know that trick, that's real good. It helps to keep your cutting board from sliding all over the place when you're cutting on it, which can be dangerous. So now as you can see, this gravy is nice and pretty. It's a beautiful brown. It's a beautiful brown. Off camera, I just kind of seasoned it up just a little bit more, just because it needed it. It needed a little more. Look how nice that looks. Look how nice that looks. That's what we want right there. That is what we want. I'm gonna loosen it up. I got just a little bit more stock left in here. Pour just a little bit more in there because again, I'm not going after too much of a real hearty gravy in this. And again, you know, this is gonna be for a couple of days and some meal preps. So that's why I got so much cooked. Because usually when I cook, I don't really want to just constantly cook every single day, especially in the summertime, because it's just so warm already in the house. and the stove just makes it a lot warmer even with the air on. So I don't cook every single day. So this, when I cook, I try to cook enough for a few days and some meal preps for work, so I can have lunch for work without having to spend my money and give it back to my boss. So yeah, that's looking real good. That is looking real good. So again, today we have used basmati rice, which we got over here. It's already been cooked up in a rice cooker. Again, the corn is back there just keeping warm for us. And now we're gonna let this cook a little bit more so that all those flavors can get caught up in this meat. And then after that, we're gonna plate this up and we're gonna let my grandson tell y'all what it tastes like. All right, we'll be back. Okay, I am back. As you can see, everything's all done. I plated it up. I'm not gonna eat right now, but my handsome grandson will. He done came in the kitchen 3 times since tasting the sauce and asked me was dinner ready. So now that dinner is ready, we're gonna let him taste it and we're gonna let him tell you what it tastes like. So we got the basmati rice with the gravy, the pork loin we did in the Ninja Foodie, and the butter kernel corn, sweet kernel corn right here for you. I'll say grace real quick, and there you go.
To myself or out loud?
To yourself, honey. Just get your grace in before you eat. Taste the rice and the gravy and let them know what it tastes like. All right, you're gonna eat a little piece of the meat. You need a fork? You need a knife? All right. Get him a knife, y'all. Let Gigi cut it up. There we go. I'm gonna cut it up so he can pick it up with the fork. With his fork. Make it a little easy on the fella here. All right, there you go. All right, y'all. There you have it, straight from my grandson. He said gives it the thumbs up. So y'all try this recipe. If you like this video and you want to see more like it, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you hadn't done so already, and ring the bell. That way when I drop any new videos, you'll be the first to be notified. And definitely share me with your friends, and I will see you later on the next video. Bye. Tell them bye.
Bye.
Bye.